You're listening to The Pump Fake.
And welcome in to the latest live edition of the Pump Fake. Everybody getting you set for week 10 of the NFL. Week 10, JP Acosta. It's week 10. Good Lord. Time is a fake construct.
It is not real. I feel like we were just in like week 2 and everybody was like, oh my God, the Jets played a close game. They scored 30 points. And now it's like everything is falling apart. So it's just been it's been a quick season, but it's felt like it's been a lot of real interesting things going on.
For sure. And of course, it is a JP Acosta Friday. So.
Shake it, you a bad bitch. She shaking dummy ass, I just want to grab it. It's another one like DJ Khaled.
God, I love it. It's the best. In terms of week 10, you know how we do it around here on the Pump Fake. We'll go through every game and give our thoughts on it. Some more than others, and there's a few marquee matchups this week, as there is every week. Oh, by the way, speaking of fun sound effects we have, how about the Thursday night game between the Raiders and the Broncos? That was very not good. Very bad. Do you have any thoughts on that outside of that? Was like you could put that on the Mount Rushmore of like bad Thursday night games?
That game was sort of an example of why I like the Broncos as a contender, but I also don't like the Broncos as a contender. They feel a lot like the 2018 Chicago Bears. They had a historic, incredible defense with an offense that sort of just RPOs their way to get by. They got to do a lot of designer stuff. If the run game isn't working, then their offense sort of falls apart. I thought this was an awful Bo Nix game, but another game that kind of shows his limitations. So they continue to win. They're 8-2, but I do have questions about if this team can win meaningful playoff games.
Yeah, and that's my biggest question too, because like Nick Bonino had an awesome game last night. Zach Allen continues to show that he's one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. And even without Pat Surtain on the field, limiting a team to 7 points, like this is a very, very good defense with good players at all three levels. But offensively, yeah, you pointed it out. When they are running the ball well, and when it comes to efficiency, they're one of the best run teams in the NFL. But when they can't do it, and when teams just hone in and say, dude, you're not going to run the ball against us, beat us with your arm, you can do it against the Raiders, but are you going to be able to do it twice against Kansas City? We're going to find out very, very soon when it comes to Denver. So let's get into now some of the Sunday games at hand. We'll start with Rams 49ers. Rams 4.5-point favorites according to FanDuel on the road against San Francisco. Obviously, the first game on Thursday night, the Rams win that game if Kyren Williams doesn't fumble the ball at the 1 yard line, and then San Francisco ends up holding on to win the game. But I would say in that game, you and I talked about it at the time, a good game plan for the 49ers in terms of beating the front four of the Rams. It was just live and quit game because the Rams secondary has been susceptible to, giving up big chunks of yardage. They've been playing a little bit better as of late. But even so, if not for self-inflicted wounds, the Rams win that first matchup. I personally expect them to win it this time around. They've been leaning a little bit more into the run game over the past few weeks, going with a little bit more heavier looks. And I think that could be something to watch for in week 10.
I think this game is going to be really instructful for both the strengths and the limitations of the Rams this season when we look at them. I think you made a great point when we talk about the first game they played. Mac Jones hitting the top of the drop and the ball was out.
Yep.
But the biggest way to combat that is you have to stop those quick game passes for 3 yards. You got to limit the quick game to you're only dinking and dunking for 3-4 yards of play. That's not going to be a sustainable way to move the ball downfield. I think for what the Rams want to do, they've gotten a lot better in terms of tackling at the second and third level. Nate Landman has been really good since that game. But I just think the 49ers defense was already a little suspect without when they had Fred Warner as their only starting player. And now they don't have Fred Warner in this game. And I just feel like eventually it's going to fall apart for this 49ers defense. And I think that even with Puka Nacua a little limited with a shoulder, chest, or like chest
Yeah,
injury,
I think it's a chest injury now. But by the way, Puka, love him, but injury issues becoming a real thing with him.
yeah, like he is putting his body on the line every single game,
Yeah.
and that's why I love him so much. But I do think this game is going to be really instructive in how the Rams have evolved. They've run a lot of 13 personnel. They've been a little bit more in getting bigger bodies on the field, and Matthew Stafford's been incredible. So I think the Rams win this one, but I'm always fascinated by the battle between Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay.
Always. The Rams enter this game 6th in the NFL in EPA per play. That's according to RB SDM stats. And when you look at their rush EPA per play, it's been getting better, but it's quietly like 19th. What does that say about them? Because, when we think about this team, especially over the past couple of years where they've kind of tried to identify or make their offense a little bit more run oriented and with the power run, I expected it to be a little bit better. Kyron Williams has had an up and down season, had a nice week last week. But what do you expect from their run offense this coming week?
Well, the thing about the Rams rushing offense in their run game is despite not having a super explosive run game, I don't think that they're trying to create explosives as a rushing offense. If they wanted to create explosives, they would let Matthew Stafford throw the ball 60 times a game. I think that's where they want to live as an offense. But where you look, the Rams are first in the NFL in rushing success rate. That's where they want to be. They don't want to explosive running the ball. They just want to be able to grind out 4 or 5 yard runs. They want to get those tough yards with Kyron Williams. Although I do think Kyron has his limitations. He and Blake Corum will drop passes this season. I think they fumbled, like we said. I think a better running back would help them be a little more explosive in the run game, but I also just don't think that this Rams team wants to be explosive in the run game. They're fine with letting their explosives come via Matthew Stafford throwing the ball and just keeping their offense on task with Kyron Williams and Blake Corum.
And when it comes to Stafford, I mean, he's been going back to August when everybody was worried about the back and wondering, is he going to be the immortal chamber? Is he going to be ready for week 1? And he looks absolutely at the peak of his powers right now, just in terms of his decision making, the angles in which he's still being able to throw the ball and the ball placement. He's my MVP right now. I Baker Mayfield's gotten a lot of love. Mahomes has gotten a lot of love. Drake May also in that conversation, all of which are worthy. But the way that Stafford's playing right now, leading the NFL in touchdown passes very quietly, he's been awesome. And I think if I had an MVP vote right now, it would go to him.
I think it's fascinating, the Matthew Stafford MVP discussion, because he has 21 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. If you look at his advanced stats, it's not exactly like sterling. Like,
he's not blowing you away when it comes to like EPA or DVOA and things of that nature.
Yeah, but when you watch him play, you can tell that he is playing at such a high level within this offense. He's been incredible when he's been blitzed this season. Although I do think if you're going to beat Matthew Stafford, you have to get pressure without blitzing. I think that's the best way you have to beat him, because he's seen everything when it comes to blitzes, when it comes to pressures, and he is still a high-level passer in the middle of the field, extending the ball downfield. It's so tough to beat the Rams when Stafford is playing the way he is, because they could even not have Puka Nacua for the last few weeks and still put up 30-plus points.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Rams to win and cover here. Where do you lean?
I think the Rams win, but I do think it's a little closer. I think the 49ers probably cover, because none of these games are ever blowouts.
That's fair. All right, let's get to the next game on the docket. Potentially my favorite game of the week. Drake May and the New England Patriots traveling down to Tampa to face the Buccaneers. Both teams leading their respective divisions right now. We just talked about Drake May and Baker Mayfield. This is the Nance Romo game of the week. I've been so pleased with what I've seen from Drake May this season, but also from what we've seen from Mike Vrabel. The defense has been much better than it was a season ago. And the Josh McDaniels offense, like, there's not a high profile name. And I guess Stephon Diggs, but in terms of like top 5 receiver in the offense, there's none of that there. They're getting great production out of guys like Kayshon Boutte. Pop Douglas has had a really nice season thus far. Hunter Henry continuing to be a very productive tight end. And I think Josh McDaniels deserves a lot of credit for that. Drake May's having a terrific year. On the other side, Tampa Bay been banged up, but Baker Mayfield has made chicken salad out of chicken. You know what? All due respect to the Buccaneers' depth. Tez Johnson has been a very valuable depth piece to them. They've gotten production out of Sterling Shepard. But once they get fully healthy, this is a team that I wouldn't be surprised to see in the NFC title game. Fascinated by this game and the two quarterbacks leading their respective teams.
I'm fascinated by this game because I do think this is the biggest test the Patriots offensive line has had since Myles Garrett had 5 sacks.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come in the form of just one guy dominating the game like Myles Garrett did. The way that Todd Bowles is able to structure and manipulate pressure and manipulate offensive lines with his pressure packages is really good. And I think that's going to give Drake May a lot of issues. I think it's going to cause him to answer a lot of questions that the Bucs defense likes to pose. Drake May has been incredible this season. I think he's been the MVP, in my opinion. But the one thing that he's done a little bit too much of, and he has said this, he's held onto the ball looking for big plays and it's led to sacks. The Bucs are 4th in pressure rate. They're 7th in blitz rate. They're able to do this. They're able to attack weak points of offensive lines. And you just think about that interior offensive line matchup against Vita Vea, against Elijah Roberts, against Elijah Simmons, both guys who are very young but have played really well this season. Yaya Diaby has quietly been one of the most impactful pass rushers in the NFL. And I just think if they can get Jacob Parrish, Zion McCollum, and Benjamin Morrison healthy together, you have 4 DBs, including Jamel Dean, who's had a bounce back year. You have 4 defensive backs that you can rotate in at any time. I think this is going to be a low scoring game, but I do kind of like the Patriots here because I just don't know if the Bucs are going to be healthy enough in this game. They might get Gedeke back, which is a good thing for them. They're not going to get Chris Godwin or Bucky Irving back, which is also not a good thing for them. So you're constantly playing this game with the Buccaneers. You're not going to have Mike Evans. You're not going to have Chris Godwin. You're not going to have Bucky Irving. There are 3 of your most impactful skill position players. I don't know how long this Bucs offense can keep up without it.
I was surprised that they didn't make a trade for a receiver at the deadline just, to keep them afloat for a little bit. Like I thought a Calvin Ridley to Tampa Bay would have made a lot of sense just in terms of, hey, get yourself a, proven productive body in that room. And, just in case Chris Godwin goes down again at some point, or just in case Emeka Egbuka misses more time, like have somebody else in there to give you a little bit more depth. I'm going to lean Tampa here despite the injuries. But I do think that is, obviously one of the bigger storylines coming in. I believe Christian Gonzalez practiced for the Patriots. I know he's been kind of up and down with injuries this year himself on that side of the ball for New England. But yeah, like you said, this is a battle of 2 quarterbacks who very much have MVP cases. Right now, Drake May, 3rd in the NFL in adjusted EPA per play behind Sam Darnold and Jordan Love. So a terrific year that he has had, and I'm very much looking forward to this one. I'm going to pick Tampa. And you said you were going to pick New England, correct?
Yeah.
All right. We shall see what happens with that. Let's head to the third marquee one of the week, Ravens at Vikings. Lamar Jackson comes back last week on Thursday night and looks like his former self. 4 touchdown passes, none of them to Isaiah Likely, who I may or may not have needed for financial purposes. Thanks, Lamar. But he looked great. Defensively, Baltimore looked really good. So they're getting healthy at the right time. And now, even at 3-5, the odds-on favorites to win the AFC North, understandably so, with just how inconsistent Pittsburgh's been. They face a Vikings team where I've seen it multiple places talk about it this week in terms of what Brian Flores did against Lamar a few years ago when he was in Miami. Just countless cover 0 blitzes that, for the most part, worked constantly and led to a Dolphins big win. I'm fascinated by the Brian Flores versus Lamar Jackson matchup here. What's that going to look like in your mind? And what are the Vikings going to have to do defensively to be able to keep up with Baltimore offensively?
So what I think is fascinating about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense this year, even before he got hurt, is that this year there have been a little bit less answers when he's been blitzed. Offensive line has not been great for the Ravens by any metric. I mean, Daniel Falele has not been very good at guard. I don't think their interior offensive line outside Tyler Linderbaum has played very well. But Lamar Jackson has sort of It's been great statistically, as always, because it's Lamar Jackson, but the answers against the blitz have just not been there. That's how Kansas City beat them. You just throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks, which is exactly what Brian Flores likes to do. The problem is, I think, where the Ravens came out of their bye, the Ravens against the Dolphins on Thursday, they ran a lot more play action to just sort of negate that blitz. You're going to be running into a wall of like 6 pass protectors. Maybe they go max protect and just let Lamar cook and play action. Lamar Jackson this season using play action has a 0.73 EPA per dropback, which is blistering, which is crazy. Of course, you have to adjust for he's only had 32 dropbacks using play action because he's been injured. But the next closest guy is Sam Darnold at 0.67. So he's doing fantastic using play action. I think that's where you can attack this Vikings defense if you wad up the protection and just attack downfield. But Minnesota has shown they've been able to take advantage of teams with weak interior offensive lines. Just look at the Detroit game last week. They basically used all those cross dog blitzes to go after the Lions' interior offensive line and force them to communicate. Their off-ball linebackers had 11 pressures on Sunday. So that's going to be the biggest thing for the Ravens, is if that offensive line can manage the interior pressure. Because if they can, Lamar's probably going to shred them downfield.
Yeah, and when it comes to the Ravens offense, that hasn't been the issue with them this season when Lamar's been healthy. They've been putting up a ton of points. It's defensively for Baltimore. Similar to last year, where the first half of the season, the defense was abysmal. They made adjustments in the second half and made like a catastrophic jump from weeks 1 to 10. They were bottom 3 team in EPA. Weeks 11 to 18, they were the best defense in terms of EPA. They seem to be getting back on track against Miami, albeit, it's a bad Dolphins team, but still, any sort of victory you can get when you're playing poorly, you take. We saw the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy have a respectable week against Detroit. He had 3 total touchdowns. Still a little bit of setbacks with him. Went 14 to 25, so he didn't blow anybody out of the water. What are your thoughts on Minnesota's offense going up against the Ravens' defense?
I think a lot of the attention went to J.J. McCarthy, which, of course, he is the rookie quarterback, technically a rookie quarterback, but he is the young quarterback. He's the new leader of the team. He's going to get a lot of the attention. But in that game, what really changed for Minnesota is they got back to being able to run the football. They were able to run the football effectively in that game. And I just think that helps out a young quarterback a lot. Against the Lions, they had 142 carries on 29 attempts. That is their best performance of the season by every metric. If you want to look at EPA per attempt per Sports Info Solutions, that is their best performance of the season against the Lions. They were able to run the football. That's really where they're able to win, is if they're able to minimize how much J.J. McCarthy actually has to do. And I think in that game, J.J. McCarthy was just okay. I think that he wore down a lot in the second, third, and fourth quarter after a blazing hot start, which is what I'm really going to be monitoring this week against the Ravens, is if he can put together a consistent stretch of gameplay, because he hasn't been able to do that all season. But where the Ravens have sort of shored up their defense is Kyle Hamilton is the man of 1,000 positions, where he just plays everywhere. He's like, that Flex Seal meme where there's a leak in the cylinder and they just put some flex tape on it.
Kyle Hamilton.
It's Kyle Hamilton. You just rub some Kyle Hamilton on it and you're gonna make some plays. So I think moving Kyle Hamilton down has really helped short up the in-between interior of that defense. They play a lot better against the run against the Dolphins, and even though the Dolphins have a really strong run game. So I just want to see if the Vikings are going to be able to run the ball effectively against this Ravens team.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Baltimore to win. I just think overall right now they're getting back healthy. If the Ravens are able to have success against the blitz, then I just don't see the Vikings keeping up with them. They're going to be able to score points in bunches, and I just don't think that that's going to be the type of game Minnesota wants to play. So I will take Baltimore to win.
I think the Ravens win. I'm curious to see if Lamar sort of lets loose a little more as a runner, because if he's let loose as a runner in this game, I don't know if Minnesota has enough horses.
Maybe we should bet Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown this week. I wonder what the odds of that are. I assume that they're probably relatively high. Anytime touchdown for Lamar Jackson. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay. It's plus 170. It's plus 240 anytime touchdown for Lamar. I'm taking that and running, ladies and gentlemen. So maybe go look at that. All right. Every other game in the NFL. Well, let's start with actually, you know what? No. Before we do that, can we let's talk real quick about this JJ McCarthy alter ego bullshit that I'm seeing all over the place. This damn video of him like growling or whatever the hell he's doing. He's like, it's Russell Wilson-esque, the cringe level on this. And he talked about it with the media saying, oh yeah, I call him 9. Shut up. Enough of that. What are your thoughts on this?
I think it's so dorky, but it works for him, man.
I guess
some people got it like that. Brian Dawkins, he had a separate locker where he had Weapon X. For some people, it just works. It is a little dorky.
Yeah, but Brian Dawkins is cool.
That's the thing. Brian Dawkins is cool. JJ McCarthy is just inherently not cool. Yeah, and I think a little bit of it was a little performative, but
very performative feeling.
It just sort of goes along those lines of like football players are theater kids who lifted. So it just, especially quarterbacks. So
that's funny.
I get it. I get the fascination with it. It's a little dorky, but if it works for him, like keep going.
Were you a theater kid?
No, I wasn't. My sister was. And again, the 9 thing I think is hilarious because what if 9 makes a mistake? It's like, that's JJ.
Yeah.
It's JJ's fault. My bad.
Or,
9's back.
Or like, this is a horrible example and people are going to get mad at me for making it. But like, whenever like the whole Hulk Hogan thing came out, we're like, well, that was Terry Bollea who said that. Hulk Hogan, the wrestler, I still like him. Like, all right, dude, whatever. Was that a bad example?
I'm just imagining JJ McCarthy having a terrible second quarter and being like, my bad, y'all. That was JJ. 9's back. 9's back, everybody. Everybody calm down. It's very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, very much, dude. I was briefly a theater kid. Not in high school. I did it, I think in college, because the girl I was dating at the time wanted me to do it with her. And then we broke up, so I stopped doing it. That was the extent of my theater experience. Our boy Nick Faribaugh was a choir guy.
Shout out to Nick, elite choir guy. I
did
do
good
choir.
pair of lungs on that.
I did do choir, and I did sing a lot growing up. Growing up a church kid, you always do. But
you're a church choir guy.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. All right. Well, we learn something new about each other every day. All right, let's get to the rest of the games. Where is this game taking place? Berlin, Falcons, Colts. You know my feeling about overseas games. Stop it. This 9:30 a.m. utter woke nonsense of kickoffs at 9:30. I'm done with it. Colts 6.5-point favorites coming off the 6 turnover game against Pittsburgh. I think that when we look back on the season, that's going to be a dramatic outlier. They entered that game with 4 takeaways or giveaways all season. I think they're going to clean some stuff up. Atlanta, maybe the most inconsistent team in the NFL are the Falcons. In terms of you just don't know what you're going to get in terms of what team shows up, how close the game's going to be, what their offense is going to be able to show in terms of output. 6.5 feels like a big line. I'm going to take Atlanta to cover hesitantly just because of the travel and whatnot. Although we've seen blowouts overseas before. So, I might be talking at it. You know what? I've talked myself into it. Colts minus 6.5 in a game where I just can't buy Atlanta.
DeForest Buckner's not going to play in this game.
Yeah, big loss for Indianapolis.
He's going on IR, which is tough for the Colts defense, but this could also be the first Sauce Gardner game as a Colt.
Yes.
And if Sauce Gardner does play, I want to see how much man coverage they play against the Falcons. Because hypothetically, if you have Sauce Gardner, you should be able to shut down Drake London because those are the type of receivers he does better against. And Michael Penix against zone coverage is 18th in the NFL in EPA per play. It drops to 27th against man. He is his scatter shot accuracy does not bode well against man coverage because the windows are tighter. So if they play more man coverage, I'm curious how the Falcons do. But if they do play more man coverage, I like Bijan Robinson as a receiver. But again, I just think the Colts offense is probably going to be coming out looking to exercise some bad juju after the Steelers, whatever happened in the Steelers game. So I think the Colts win. But I am curious about how Atlanta comes out on both sides of the ball.
I am too. Because, we've seen games this year where they play well. You know, they played well against Washington and got a big win there. They played well in week 1 against Tampa Bay. Probably should have won that game if not for some bad kicking. But then you have games where you get shut out 30-0 by the Panthers. You have games where you just don't show up against Miami. I understand Kirk was playing, but like, it's not as if Kirk is like a complete and total bum. And
I mean, hold on. Well,
okay,
Kirk
good.
Awful, man.
He did not play well.
He is awful. There is nothing that Kirk Cousins can do right now in 2025.
Friend of the show, Kirk Cousins.
But I mean, even like, shout out to Kirk Cousins.
Shout out to Kirk, like, great
Kirk
guy.
Cousins had great conversations about Disney World with Kirk Cousins.
That's nice, yeah.
But even last week against the Patriots, the Falcons probably take that game to overtime if they have a kicker.
Yeah, Parker Romo
actually makes a kick. But again, those are the things where we talk about with the Falcons. It's always the marginal things. They've never been good at. They haven't been good at the little things this year on the offensive side of the ball, and that's what's holding them back.
All right, let's go to we'll stay in the AFC South. Your Jaguars are now 1.5 favorites. They were 1.5 dogs. That line has since moved against the Houston Texans. This feels a little bit disrespectful to Jacksonville to me. Davis Mills is going to be the guy under center for Houston. I understand that the Texans defense is very good, but it's Davis Mills, and the Jaguars defense has been very good when it comes to taking the football away this season. They had a little bit of a rough stretch when it came to, after the big win against Kansas City, didn't play well against Seattle, and really didn't play well against the Rams. But get a big win last week on the road, get back on track. If they win this game, I think keeps them alive in the AFC South champion race, but also puts the final nail in the Texans' coffin when it comes to the AFC South and potential playoffs. So I think Jacksonville -1.5 might be one of my favorite bets of the week in terms of where I think this one's going.
Unironically, Devin Lloyd might be the most important player in this defense.
What a season, and just, I don't want to say resurrection, but for lack of a better term, he has come alive this year, and it's been awesome to watch.
Yeah, well, we've talked about it on Pushing the Pile. Linebacker play takes time. It's why you see a lot of teams, once they get veteran linebackers who they think are good or just good enough, they sign them to long-term deals. That's why when you draft guys, that's the whole, I guess everybody's mantra of don't draft a linebacker in the first round, because it takes a long time for them to get good.
Right.
But I do think Devin Lloyd is performing way beyond expectations in this season. I think for the Jaguars, they need Trayvon Walker healthy as well. They haven't been able to get a lot of pass rush outside of Josh Hines-Allen. Mm-hmm. So if they're able to get pass rush, I think Davis Mills is not going to be able to move the ball downfield. Brian Thomas Jr. is not playing in this game, which is going to be fascinating because you're without Travis Hunter. You're without Brian Thomas Jr.
Welcome to Jacksonville, Jacoby Myers, bud.
This is the greatest way to introduce yourself to Jacksonville if you're Jacoby Myers. But watch out for Parker Washington. As always, I do think they're going to try and lean on the run game in this one a lot. Travis Etienne has been incredible. I think he's run a lot better than his stats would give him credit for. I do think the Jags win, but I do think this is a close game.
I think that, well, actually, I want to get your thoughts on the Jacoby Myers trade. I thought it made perfect sense for both sides. Obviously, Jacoby Myers don't want to be in Las Vegas anymore. They're not going anywhere this season. A 4th and a 6th for a good wide receiver feels like a fair price to pay.
The Jaguars have 21 drops this season, according to Sports Info Solutions.
Wow.
That is, I believe, the 7th most through 9 games since 2020.
That's bad.
This is a historically bad offense when it comes to drops. Not only that, but they drop passes over the middle of the field. They have 14 drop passes over the middle of the field this season. Yeah. There are teams that don't have 14 drop passes total this season through 9 games. What Jacoby Myers brings is toughness over the middle of the field, doesn't drop passes, and physicality. I think that's what this Jaguars offense needs to blend the explosiveness of Travis Hunter and the explosiveness of Brian Thomas Jr. They just need somebody to tie the strings together. Every starting 5, if we look at a wide receiver core, every starting 5, if we look at a wide receiver core like a starting 5 in basketball, every starting 5 needs a glue guy. Everybody needs a Draymond Green. Everybody needs a Shane Battier type of player. That's what Jacoby Myers is. So I think it's going to be really helpful for the Jaguars. And they have 11 picks left in the 2026 draft. So they've just been stockpiling. So I think it's a good trade for them.
All right. The over-under in this game, 37.5, might be worth looking at, considering that Houston's offense was bad when C.J. Stroud was there, much less now with him on the shelf. The Giants, 4.5-point dogs on the road against the Chicago Bears. The Giants are 2-7, but I don't think anybody's lining up to play them. Just in terms of they're going to give you hell in terms of their effort. I know Scadabo's down. I know Malik Neighbors is down. Jackson Dart continues to battle his ass off. And defensively, there's still guys there. Haven't loved the usage of Abdul Carter when it comes to them this season. And the Bears, what a game on Sunday, where they certainly, it went from, okay, they're definitely going to win this game, to they're definitely going to lose this game, to, wow, how'd they win that game against Cincinnati? Whenever there's a big, high-scoring, high-effort, emotional win like that, I'm always wary of a come-down for a team just coming off just a game like that. They're 4.5-point favorites. I'll probably lean them to win, but I think the Giants keep it within 4.5.
When you mentioned the Falcons as the most confusing team in the NFL, the team I wanted to use to push back against that was the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what the Bears are going to do in any given week. And I think they suffer from sort of the same variance as the Falcons do offensively, although I think the Bears have a higher floor because of Ben Johnson. I think his run game and what they've done when it comes to just being able to move the pocket and get some things going in the quick game has really helped out this offense. I think Caleb Williams has played, I think he's played better than people want to give him credit for. I do think there's just some misses on tape. There's just some inaccuracies, but it's not like his eyes aren't in the right place. I think that's the biggest misconception about Caleb Williams this season, is that his eyes aren't in the right place and he's not a good fit for Ben Johnson's offense. When he is a good fit, his eyes are in the right place. He's just missing passes. He's just inaccurate. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing in this game. My player to watch in this one is Brian Burns / Theo Benedette, who is the left tackle for the Bears. They switched out Theo Benedette for Braxton Jones midway through the season to get better as a run blocking unit. But Benedette is a rookie, also a day 2 rookie who they did not expect to play this season. He's going to be going up against a guy that is one of the premier pass rushers in the NFL. So if the Giants are able to get pass rush, I think this game is going to be close anyway, because the Bears just gave up 42 points to Joe Flacco.
Sure.
So I think
career high in passing yards as well for Joe Flacco.
I think this one's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to be like your Sunday ticket, like game of the week, where like if you're just wanting to turn your brain off and look at points, go watch this game.
Over under is, what is it? 46.5 for this game. So maybe one worth taking the over. One not worth taking the over. Browns at Jets. Jets obviously coming off a big trade deadline in which they sent away Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner. They bring in Mosley Smith and A.D. Mitchell in those respective trades. For Cleveland, Tommy Reese now the play caller. Second straight year Kevin Stefanski has given up play calling duties. Kind of know the tail of the tape when it comes to Cleveland. Defensively, they've been very good. Offensively, they have not. Dylan Gabriel, not really a whole lot of weaponry there. I expect this to be a heavy Quinshon Judkins game in terms of the run game. And yeah, low scoring affair. I'm going to take Cleveland to win just because the Jets have made it pretty clear their eyes are set on the future, which that's a fair thing to do. I think that the new regime with Aaron Glenn and company, they're going to give them time to kind of do it their way. And I think that's why you see guys like Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams get shipped away. Makes sense if that's what you're trying to do, start anew. But in terms of this game, I think that benefits Cleveland with a good defense. If they are able to find success running the ball, then I think that this is their game to lose.
I said in my midseason awards piece for CBS that if Myles Garrett were to win Defensive Player of the Year, he would have to break or get close to a record, which is how every other defensive player who's won DPOY without making the playoffs has done. And he was on pace at that point for 21 and a half sacks. Close. He might get 21 in this game by himself. I just think this game is going to be a takeover by the Browns defensive line. I think the Jets offensive line is good. I just think Myles Garrett is insane, and despite how well I think the offensive line for the Jets has played, Justin Fields holds on to the ball a lot. That's going to lead to a lot of sacks, and I just think that the Browns turn this into a rock fight that they win going away.
Yeah, I would agree. And like their tackles have been good, and both young tackles, back-to-back first-round guys, and Olufashinu and Armand Membu, guys that they're going to build around for the future. But The issues at quarterback when it comes to Justin, like we love Justin in terms of like who he is as a guy and whatnot, and the physical ability that he has. But when it comes to being a starting caliber quarterback, I mean, I think that we're seeing that ship's probably sailing. So I do think Cleveland's defense, I agree with you, takes over in this. Do I think that they win by more than 2.5? Yes, I do. And I think we can probably go -2.5 as well as the under. I think it'll be somewhere in like 19-6. Just an ugly ass football game that nobody should watch.
I think you're giving them too much credit for 19.
Well, that's, assuming that they'll get like a couple turnovers in plus field position, so they'll be able to kick some field goals.
That'll require 19 require them having to score a touchdown once.
That's fine. I think Quinshon Judkins can get in there.
I don't know. I think this game is
a touchdown and 4 field goals. I think is doable.
I'm going to say this one's like a 12-3.
Okay. Honestly, I might even look and see like what the alternate under is of all under 20.5 just to see and have fun. We'll see what that looks like. Saints Panthers. Oh God, this week blows. Now that I'm going through it, this is horrible. This is a top heavy week 10 of games. This the 1 o'clock window. The quad box isn't going to be hard to decide for me in terms of what games are going to be on the second TV. In the quad box. This one sure as hell won't. Tyler Shuck against a Panthers team. 5-4 Carolina. Sure. Why not? This is... I'm not confused about the Panthers. I still don't think they're good. I don't know how they're winning these games.
I think the Panthers are winning these games because they have an identity. And that's a lot. That's a lot better than every other team. A lot of teams near the bottom of the league can say. The Panthers have a gimmick, which is they are going to run the damn ball and they are going to try and stop the damn run. Derek Brown has been an all-pro caliber player this season. And he has the most thankless job in the NFL of just eating double teams.
Yep. Take up space and let everybody else come in behind him.
He's just housing guys in the run game constantly. And I think that he being healthy has flipped this defense a lot. And I think that this game for the Saints is going to be tough because they already couldn't run the ball. The Panthers don't get pass rush at all. Their pressure rate is 22.9%, which is 30th in the NFL. But I also just don't think that they're able to put up with a lot of the physicality that the Panthers are going to bring on both sides of the ball. So I think even Tyler Shuck is not great. I just think the Panthers just sort of lean on them in this one and just turn this into like a really sleepy but productive win.
Again, another low over under. This one, 38.5 according to FanDuel. So if you want to go double unders with Browns, Jets, Panthers, Saints, maybe that's worth looking at. Yeah, Carolina, credit to them. I think Dave Canales has done a really nice job with working with what he's got and putting something together. Rico Dowdle's been awesome this year. You're right. They do have an identity. I think Tet McMillan has been a nice draft pick so far and been, a good number one for Bryce Young to turn to. Weird team, the Carolina Panthers.
I do have to say real quick, I think it would be very funny if it came down to this, because right now, the 7 seed in the NFC is the Detroit Lions. Then you have the Bears and the Panthers. If it comes down to Panthers-Cowboys for the 7 seed, and we have to go back to the Rico Dowdle game.
Oh, you're right.
Tiebreaker. I think that would be very funny.
That would be very silly. The Panthers being a playoff team in general, like I'm down for it just for the chaos of it. They would either go to Philadelphia, NFC North winner, maybe Tampa, depending on how they keep winning.
Well,
that'll be hilarious.
Well, right now, we're just gonna say they get the 7 seed. Right now, the 2 seed is the Buccaneers, so that's a division game.
Yeah,
and they play the Buccaneers, I think, twice to end the season. So you never know. Any given Sunday, right now, the playoff picture is the Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, Packers, Rams, Niners, Lions, and the Bears have a game up on the Panthers right now.
Yeah.
But Bears play in the NFC North. Panthers play in the NFC South.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'm not saying the Panthers are making the playoffs. I want it to be known, I don't think the Panthers are making the playoffs.
Neither do I.
But I do think it would be very funny if they made the playoffs.
It would be very silly. Again, another game that shouldn't be competitive, but it'll be in my quad box for work purposes. The Bills traveling to Miami to play the Dolphins, 9.5-point favorites on the road. Josh Allen, 14-2 in his career against the Dolphins. Routinely, these are schlackings on the end of Buffalo. Miami, yeah, dude. Like, I'm surprised that they weren't bigger sellers. You know, they traded away Jalen Phillips. I'm surprised Bradley Chubb is still there. I'm surprised Minka Fitzpatrick is still there. Reportedly, they fielded calls on Jalen Waddle, but wanted at least a one in return for him. Nobody did that. So a lot of the guys that are vets on the team are still there, and I'm a little bit surprised by that. They had a clear plan in mind when playing Buffalo the first time around, which was control the clock, try to keep Buffalo's offense off the field as much as possible, and just wear down that defense. Unfortunately, Tua'd and threw an interception to Terrell Bernard, and that sealed the deal for them. 9.5. I think that Buffalo usually gets at least one blowout against Miami a year. It wasn't the first time around. Should be this time around. I'm going to take Buffalo in the points.
I just don't think Miami has enough defensively to be a factor in this game, especially even if James Cook is a little bit limited in this game. I still think they're going to be able to run the ball effectively. And if they're able to run the ball and lean on Dolphins on both sides of the ball, I just think they're going to be able to put this game away. I am curious if the Bills defense is we're just only going to get up for the Chiefs game and play terrible the rest of the season, because that's sort of what the Bills do. But, I mean, if you can't get any consistent stops against the Dolphins, then maybe that is just the case.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll play devil's advocate a little bit in terms of like the defense playing bad, which it has for sure. The old argument of like, all right, well, how much are they not showing to save for that inevitable second matchup with Kansas City in the postseason? And are they okay with just vibing at like 19th in defensive DVOA until they get to the postseason? Maybe. But that is a fair argument to make. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to take Buffalo running away. I assume you are as well.
Yes.
Okay. Low key, big matchup here in the NFC West. The Seattle Seahawks, 6.5-point favorites at home against Jacoby Brissett and the Arizona Cardinals. Offensively, they look much better with Jacoby Brissett. And I think that we've seen the last of Kyler Murray in Arizona.
So I think that this is a very good point about why the Cardinals look better with Jacoby Brissett instead of Kyler Murray, even though Kyler Murray is a more talented quarterback. He's just not a fit for this offense. That has always been the thing. He has not been a good fit for this offense. This offense is heavy. This play is under center, middle of the field, throwing dig routes, over routes, crossing routes. That's what Marvin Harrison Jr. likes to do. That's what Trey McBride wants to do. Kyler doesn't do that. So while he's the better quarterback objectively than Jacoby Brissett, he is not a better fit for this offense. And if he's not a better fit for this offense, you struggle to figure out what offense he is a fit for.
Yeah,
that's going to need a quarterback. But that's a discussion for another time. I think that this game might actually be I'm actually kind of intrigued by this game, because the thing about the Seahawks is which team is actually going to defend the Seahawks like they can't run the ball. Because they've been defended in base defense at, I think, the second highest rate in the NFL. And they've shredded base defenses again as a passing unit. The Cardinals don't want to play in base. They really don't. They want to play all three of their safeties. And I think the biggest difference in this game compared to the first time they played is there was no Walter Nolan and there was no Will Johnson. Having both those guys on the field really changes. Like, they just have more juice as a defense with both those guys on the field. Yeah. So I am curious in this game, but I do think the Seahawks win this one.
I do too. I mean, Walter Nolan, you brought him up, had a tremendous game against Dallas this past Monday night, really made an impact in his NFL debut. So 6.5, I'm going to take Arizona to cover. I think Seattle wins, but I think it stays within a touchdown. Detroit, 8.5-point favorites in Washington. The news, Jayden Daniels not going on IR. His the work and whatnot they did on his elbow, turns out there's no like nerve damage or anything like that. They think he might be able to come back and play. Considering that his arm was at a right angle the other way, that is absolutely the best case scenario for Washington right now. They're 3-6 though. They weren't sellers at the deadline, perhaps because they were optimistic about potentially getting him back. If you go to 3-7 though, what's the point of bringing him back is my question.
I would like to offer the possibility that they didn't sell at the deadline because there was nobody to sell.
Maybe.
They're just not good. They just don't have the guys to sell. I mean, if you look at the offensive side of the ball, are you going to trade away Deebo Samuel, who has been your most productive receiver with Terry McLaurin out?
Yeah, that's fair.
Are you going to trade Brandon Coleman, who has sort of had his role sort of limited as Sam Cosmi's comeback? I mean, that could have been a guy you might have traded. You're not trading anybody on defense because that defense is awful.
Not good.
So and it sort of ties into the Jaden Daniels injury. Even if he is going to be healthy later this season, is it going to be worth it? Like that's my thing with the Joe Burrow and Bengals and the Bengals. It's not going to be worth it to bring him back, and the season's already gone. You're not making the playoffs. You're not pushing for a playoff run. So I do think that even if Jaden Daniels is going to recover, I just don't know if it's going to be worth it to play him anymore this season. But when we talk about this game, the Lions do one thing they do a lot of things well, but they do one thing really well, and that is stomp on everybody after a loss. Yeah. They lost the first week to Green Bay. They turned around and put 52 on the Bears. They lost to the Chiefs. They came back and held the Bucs to 9 points. I fear for what they are going to do to the Commanders' defense. But I do think if the Commanders are going to win this game, it's because the Lions' offensive line isn't healthy. Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell, Christian Mahogany's on IR. I also think that Miles Frazier, they just opened up the 21-day practice window. I don't know if he's going to play on Sunday, but you're just losing bodies again if you're Detroit. So I think if the Commanders do keep this close, it's because they brought it on the defensive line and Jared Goff has to make some second reaction throws, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do that.
Yeah. I'm going to take, there's a couple games that I'm leaning big lines. Buffalo at 9.5, Detroit at 8.5. I still feel pretty comfortable with both of those just because of the talent discrepancy on both sides of the ball. Sunday night, the Steelers traveled to Los Angeles to face the Chargers. Chargers 6-3, Pittsburgh 5-3, Steelers 2.5-point dogs. The offensive line issues with the Chargers, the biggest storyline coming into this game. Joe Alt done for the year, no Rashawn Slater. They bring in Trevor Penning from New Orleans, moving a lot of guys around on that offensive line because of all the injuries that they've had. If the Steelers pass rush can be consistently good and dominate a unit that they are better than, I think they win the game. If for some reason they cannot, and Justin Herbert has time to distribute the ball, that's something that I worry about, especially with Oronde Gadsden, because the Steelers have had trouble against tight ends this season. I think that there is a situation where they do lose this game, and it's the pass rush for some reason can't get home, and Oronde Gadsden beats them up. I'm going to pick Pittsburgh to win just because of the offensive line issues with the Chargers. Offensively, Pittsburgh's actually been pretty solid this year. So I'll take Pittsburgh on the road to get to 6-3, just because I think that defensively they should be able to get to Justin Herbert.
So when you get the chance, I just want you to look at the Chargers depth chart, especially on the offensive line. If you go to the Chargers website, their starting offensive linemen, there are 2 healthy.
That's less
and that
than
is
good.
Bradley Bozeman and Zion Johnson. Mekhi Becton just got back to practicing. Trey Pipkins and Bobby Hart are both injured. That's why they traded for Trevor Penning. Joe Alt, obviously out. Austin Deculus, awful. They're going to be asking you and I to go out there and get reps on Sunday night, potentially. I think the Steelers win this game, but I do think what I'm going to be watching is how the Steelers offense goes up against this Chargers defense and how the Chargers try and force the Steelers out of their 13 personnel like Nirvana, which is the Chargers have not been good defending the run out of base personnel. So I'm going to be curious to see if the Steelers can just kind of lean on them a little bit. And they haven't really leaned on anybody this season outside of like the Vikings game, I would say. So I want to see if the Steelers can actually lean on the Chargers a little bit in the run game. They're still banged up front. They're trying to build out that defensive line again. So if they can just turn this into a ground and pound, and we're going to force Justin Herbert to throw the ball 50 times with our pass rushers in his face on 45 of those dropbacks, I think the Steelers can pull this one out.
Yeah, I would agree. Matchup of 2 teams with AFC playoff hopes. Aaron Rodgers been playing really well. Justin Herbert obviously been playing really well. So 2 quarterbacks that are in the conversation for, in terms of just this season, top 10, top 12 performances. It should be a fun game, especially because this isn't like the last 2 years of the Steelers offense where they're scoring 19 points a game or whatever. They're averaging over 25 points a game. Aaron Rodgers is playing well. I'm liking what I see from that side of the ball. Monday night, Philadelphia traveling to Green Bay. Obviously, the Packers coming off an embarrassing loss to Carolina where they were 13.5-point favorites. The Packers, I want to continue to believe in them. They were my preseason Super Bowl pick out of the NFC. But of the really good teams in the NFL, they are the team where I'm just like, all right, what team's going to show up this week? Is it going to be the team that scores 21 in the fourth quarter against Pittsburgh, where Jordan Love just goes scorched earth and you can't slow him down? Is it going to be the team that shows up the first 2 weeks defensively, where they look like a juggernaut? Or is it going to be the team that shows up against Cleveland and Carolina? In a big bounce back spot at home on Monday night against a really good Eagles team. If you want to show that you're for real, this is a game that you got to go out and win. They're 1.5-point favorites. I'm going to hesitantly pick them, but if they lose this game and it's relatively like a situation where the results never in doubt, I'm going to have real questions about them going forward.
So I have a lot of questions about the Packers, and the biggest question is, can they run the ball? They haven't been able to run the ball. That's why it's crazy. That's why they lost to the Panthers. It's why they lost to the Browns. It's why they always play down to their competition, because the way they have built this offense is Jordan Love throws the ball downfield a lot. He does not throw checkdowns. That's part of his game. That's what makes Jordan Love such a fun quarterback to watch. But they use the run game as their checkdown. They want to be brutally efficient in the run game. They haven't been that in recent weeks. And it's because the offensive line has been injured. And now where you need to supplant the run game, you need to use yards after the catch. You need to go full quick game. The problem is, without Tucker Kraft and without Jaden Reed, there is no juice after the catch on this team. Romeo Doubs is more of a possession guy. Matthew Golden is still he is your verticality along with Christian Watson. And Savion Williams is kind of a gadget guy. Do you use Savion Williams a lot in this game? And then on the flip side of the ball, the biggest way to beat the Packers is because they don't have a lot of depth at defensive tackle. They've missed Devontae Wyatt a lot. And so I wonder if the Eagles just go, okay, we'll just line up with 6 offensive linemen and run the ball at you. That's exactly
we know that they're comfortable doing that. They have no problem running it 40 times.
Yeah, in their last game, we saw them before the bye. Saquon Barkley had 150 rushing yards. They had 6 offensive linemen on the field because their tight ends outside of Goddard aren't worth anything blocking. So just put offensive linemen.
Grant Calcaterra as the number 2 guy.
Grant Calcaterra, Kylan Granson, and Cam Latu is their fullback. So just put Fred Johnson on the field. You don't throw the ball to Calcaterra or Granson anyway. Yeah. Just run the ball at them and see what happens. I mean, if you want to commit as many bodies as the Packers do in the run game to try and stop the run, you're leaving your corners on islands against A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. And that's where the Eagles want to force you in those situations. They want to force you to play the math game. So I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one because I have less questions about the Eagles right now than the Packers right now in this moment.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I think that might have been a good enough argument to flip me. Again, 1.5-point favorites are Green Bay. So that's a little bit surprising to me. I understand being the home team, that makes sense. But Eagles underdogs on the road. All right, that is every Week 10 game previewed. Now, JP and I haven't done this in a while, but we're going to do a draft. We tend to do this. I texted you and I was like, all right, what haven't we drafted yet? And you said, what about Christmas songs? And I said, I love it. Let's do it. So I'll let you start, mostly because I think the song I'm going to pick first, you're not going to pick first, and I feel comfortable with it. So let's start. Who's your first Christmas song pick?
My first Christmas song pick, I actually think you're not going to pick this one. It's Silent Night by The Temptations, the greatest Christmas song of all time. It is an instant, it feels like Christmas. It feels like putting on a warm coat and drinking hot chocolate. Just go listen to it. The Temptations have the greatest Christmas song of all time, Silent Night. It's my first overall pick.
There's going to be several on this that you and anybody who watches or listens who knows me are going to be like, wow, I'm very surprised he picked this, especially the first one, because the first one I am taking is Santa Tell Me by Ariana Grande.
Okay.
That's, dude, I could listen to it every day from November to January multiple times, and it just gets, I love it. It's very cheery, very fun. I turn it on when I decorated my tree and was decorating my house. Yeah, I love it. She does a tremendous job with that song. Very good.
That's a good pick.
Thank you.
I really like that one. It's probably one of the best modern Christmas songs.
For sure.
My next pick is Feliz Navidad by Jose Feliciano.
Really?
It's incredible. It just reminds me so much of listening to the radio as a kid when my brothers and sisters going to school.
Oh, that's fun.
And we're singing Feliz Navidad as we get out the car. Like it's incredible memories.
That's a pick I wasn't expecting. The earliest memory I have of Feliz Navidad is my sisters were big Dora girls, and they have a Christmas episode where they sing that. I'm surprised that that you picked that. I'm looking at my list right now. I'm going to go with How Do I Wrap My Heart Up for Christmas by Randy Travis.
Ooh, this is one I haven't heard.
You should listen to it. It's very good. I love like 80s, 90s country music. And when you combine Christmas with 80s, 90s country music, you can't go wrong. This one, if you haven't heard it, absolutely go listen to it. Randy Travis is the absolute best.
Ooh, that's going to be one I have to go listen to. My third round pick, and I feel like I'm getting incredible value.
Oh, goodness.
This Christmas by Donny Hathaway.
You did the Donny Hathaway version.
Yes. This Christmas Donny Hathaway version, like again, it feels it's the same as Silent Night by the Temptations.
Okay.
It's just a Christmas song. When you think of Christmas, that's one of the first songs I think of.
That's a good pick. So you go with This Christmas. I'm going to go with Last Christmas, and I'm going to go with the Taylor Swift version.
Whoa!
Yeah, I know, right?
Okay.
I think the Wham version sucks, if I'm being perfectly honest. Yeah, I don't like it. I think Taylor knocks it out of the park, dude. She kills that song. Oh, it's so good.
Have you heard the Glee version? Because that's my mom's favorite version of that song.
You know what? And I'm not one of the people who hates on Glee. I love like a cappella stuff. I love Pitch Perfect. All those movies kick ass. So I will give it a go, and I will let you know how it is.
That's a really good one. I didn't think of that. That's good. That's a good pick.
Thank you.
There are a lot I actually want to go with. I'm going to go with You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch.
Oh, good shout. Yep, that's a good one.
Fourth round pick.
That's good.
It's the reason why I watch How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It is one of the greatest diss tracks of all time.
A diss track.
That's
funny.
If they were describing the Grinch in 3 words, it'd be stink, stank, and stunk. That's a bar.
Oh, that's funny. All right, that's good. That is very good. I feel like I don't have any classic ones yet, and I feel like I should. This isn't so much like a song that you sing to, but it is music associated with Christmas, and I think I'm allowed to take it. So I'm gonna take the Home Alone theme.
Okay.
Every time I hear the Home Alone music, it really gets me excited. I love it. Absolutely love it. So that's what I'm going with.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking of so many right now that I want to go with. How many rounds are we doing?
I mean, usually we do 5, but I think there's so many Christmas songs we could probably go like 7 or until we feel like we're done.
We can go. We'll do 7.
By the way, we have somebody on YouTube. Jarrett says, "What did I just walk into?" Welcome to the Christmas song draft, bud.
We're doing Christmas song drafts. Get in here.
Yeah.
And with my pick, I'm taking Christmas in Hollis by Run DMC.
I have not heard that.
It's again, it is just like you rarely ever hear rap songs about Christmas.
Sure.
And it's one of the ones that I think of when I was younger. It was one of the songs my dad would play when we're getting ready to put Christmas ornaments on the tree. We're getting like hot cocoa. We're watching movies. That's one of the songs I think of.
Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to take "Let It Be Christmas" by Alan Jackson. Another another country Christmas song that anytime, like especially like it's gloomy right now in Pittsburgh. It's raining. It's not snowing, but when there's like light flurries, it's like a little bit cloudy, and I'm like, going to the mall to see the big ass tree in the middle of the Tanger outlets. This is on, and it just feels so homey. Alan Jackson also just rules.
It does feel like a very homey song, like a very very relaxing Christmas song.
Yeah.
It would be blasphemous for me to not pick this song. So I'm gonna go ahead and take "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey.
Good shout. Yeah.
It is the Christmas song.
My girlfriend saw Mariah Carey. Would it have been last year? Either last year or the year before. She was telling me that she saw Mariah Carey with her mom. It was around Christmas time, and she said, her words, not mine, she was absolutely hammered, and it was a horrible show. I don't, nothing against Mariah Carey. That song obviously has made her more money than God. So good for her. But that's the closest Mariah Carey story I have.
That's an incredible story.
Very fun. All right. What do I take now? Okay, another modern one. I'm gonna take "Buy Me Presents" by Sabrina Carpenter.
Okay, I haven't heard that one.
Listen to it; it's very fun. I mean, it's a very Sabrina Carpenter song. Like, there's a lot of sexual innuendos in it, but talking about coming down chimneys and whatnot. Like, it's Sabrina Carpenter, but the song is very catchy. It's got like a very fun Christmas tune to it, and Sabrina Carpenter just rules.
I'm going real old school.
Here we go.
This one, my last pick. It is Nat King Cole, the Christmas song.
Okay.
It is just iconic. It's one of those where like you hear it and you just feel like Christmas.
Yeah.
Very relaxing, very, very warm. Nat King Cole's voice is perfect for Christmas.
That's good. What do I want my last pick to be? Again, I don't have much classic stuff on here. I'm going to take what, hold on. I just had a small stroke apparently. I'm trying to think of what is it? Is it Britney Spears who sings it?
Britney Spears Christmas song. I never thought I'd hear that.
Give me a minute, because I can't remember the name of it, but like I know the what is it? Yeah, My Only Wish This Year by Britney Spears, I think is what I'm going to take.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, no, I take it back. I'm taking Hot Chocolate from the Polar Express. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Hot Chocolate or the ending song, Believe.
Yeah, dude. Oh, that is so I should have taken that. That song is so good. I have like a gold bell ornament from the Polar Express, big ass gold bell on my tree right now.
That song is going to be one of our like primary UDFAs.
That's fine. Yeah.
You took those guys up after the draft and you're like, dang, how did this guy not make a roster?
Jarrett also has Little Drummer Boy by the Jackson 5. That's a great shout.
Great shout. I would probably go I Saw Mommy Kiss the Santa Claus by the Jackson 5.
That's a good one. Yes. Jackson 5 has so many good Christmas songs, actually.
Yeah. I think they had like an entire.
Do they have an album?
I think they have a Motown Christmas album. Yeah.
Okay.
Which reminds me, I forgot Someday at Christmas by Stevie Wonder.
Oh, dude, that has become one of the ones like in my rotation. Actually, there's a few Stevie Wonder's ones in my rotation right now. Like when we're in the car or whatever. Stevie Wonder, yeah, a few of them.
Greatest singer of all time.
That's a take. That's not a bad take. I just don't think I've ever heard that before.
Greatest singer of all time, and he can definitely see.
I agree with that. Actually, I'm 100% on board with the conspiracy that he's not actually blind.
Never actually been blind.
I love it. All right, JP, what have you got coming on CBS Sports that everybody should go check out?
Well, you should always check out Pushing the Pile. We have a YouTube page. Make sure you follow. Make sure you hang out with us Sunday nights after the Sunday night football game. We go over every single NFL game that happens that day. We have shows on Tuesday and Thursday. You can find me CBS Sports HQ, CBS Sports Network. Find my writing at cbssports.com. So just anywhere where there's football being played, football being talked about, I'm probably there.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening as a podcast, leave a comment, leave a review. Starting a project on sporting news that will culminate in week 18. So I'm very excited about it. I'll tease you with that. But very excited to see what it turns into. Yeah, like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to wherever you get your podcasts and whatnot. We'll be back next week to recap week 10 and get you set for the rest of the season to come. Till then, this is the Pump Fake.